Joining us now is Peter Doran. He's the Foundation for Defense of Democracy's Senior Adjunct Fellow. Peter, always a pleasure. Great to see you this evening. Thank you. So the president's saying his requests are essentially twofold. No nuclear, stop killing protesters, and the president says he also wants to make a deal here. At the same time, we did spot an update from a top Iranian security official saying negotiations are progressing. What is the deal the president is pursuing here, and can this regime be trusted if an agreement is in fact reached?
Well, Kelly, the question before President Trump right now is, will the next phase of our actions against Iran be transactional or transformational? If they're going to be transactional, that means there's a diplomatic deal on the table whereby the Iranian regime will disarm and disavow its efforts to secure nuclear weapons. I have to say that I have very low expectations that such a full deal is possible, especially since the Iranian regime has learned very well how to weasel out of previous agreements they've made with the West.
Right, exactly. So how do you see the president going about making any progress here? We're surging these military assets to the region. Also, you have the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the regime is weaker now than it ever has been. So if a deal can't be reached, does regime change become the goal?
Well, President Trump has two options there, and that's where we could see a transformational development here in Iran. There could be a strike on Iran's political leadership. There could also be a system-wide attack on its military capabilities. Let's recall that President Trump's credibility is certainly on the line. He said, do not shoot protesters. The Iranian regime killed more than 30,000 people. Think about that number. And if they did, there would be hell to pay. So now it falls to President Trump to make that decision. He could either attack the political leadership or the infrastructure that Iran uses to terrorize its own people. Doing so would support the protesters and could be certainly transformational, Kelly.
Well, and I agree with your assessment of this, Peter. You know, the president, he has drawn these lines in the sand. The regime has crossed them, and it is unlike the president to back down once he makes these sorts of claims. Are these strikes imminent? And do you have real concerns about retaliation as well? That's been a major talking point.
Well, I certainly believe that Gulf countries are worried. They've been signaling to Tehran, look, hey, we're not part of this. They don't want to be attacked. Certainly, I expect the Iranians to try and strike Israel the way they did back during the 12-day war last summer. But that's why we're seeing so much American offensive and defensive military power being positioned in the region. If there is an attack, we can certainly expect the United States to assist in protecting against, say, missile attacks directed at Israel.
And we have about a minute left, but I do want to ask you about this as well. Rubio, he was pressed on the case of regime change. This was his response.
So I don't think anyone can give you a simple answer as to what happens next in Iran if the supreme leader and the regime were to fall, other than the hope that there would be some ability to have somebody within their systems that you could work towards a similar transition.
So if the regime were to fall, what does that picture look like? What comes next?
Well, it certainly looks like the United States would be comfortable with, say, a Venezuelan option, whereby the current political leadership in Iran is ousted, but the main infrastructure of governing the country remains in place until there can be political democratic elections.
All right. Peter Doran, great insights as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelly.